Hey, I'm Dr. David Fletcher, and when we embrace the idea of chiropractic, we learn what a vertebral subluxation really is. And there's two components to it. Vertebral means of the spine, and subluxation means an interference. What is the interference? The interference is in the neurology that helps us communicate our innate intelligence and allows ourselves to be able to organize to the highest level of adaptability. You see, that's why we need to have the tools to look deeper within our systems. Well, we understand that we live in a gravitational field, so we need to constantly be looking and saying, are we adapting to the primal forces, electromagnetism, gravity? Well, what we need to understand is that gravity is going to take its toll if we are not in balance and if we can't adapt to that. Well, before our spine goes through a deterioration or loses its natural balance and alignment, it has to have gone through an adaptive response through the nervous system. So we need to understand structure and function. Now, we look to using x-rays to look at the gross structure of the spine. Great. We can understand alignments, we can understand degeneration, but what really matters is if we look deeper and understand how the neurology that controls our health and our adaptability is listening to the environment and making the correct responses. If we live in a vertebral subluxation model, what happens is that we develop compensations and we become inefficient. The key to innate intelligence expressing itself is the relationship with efficiency in the way it utilizes its natural energy, its ability to constantly listen and adapt, and understand when compensations come into the system that they layer upon one another. And that's what many times we see as the symptoms or the challenges in the biomechanical model. We need to look deeper, and that's why we need to look at emerging patterns within the nervous system. And the insight scans were always developed to look at the neurology and the structure that was associated with that vertebral subluxation, but more importantly, the human behind it. So when we understand that we can look at the adaptive reserve, we can look at the energy efficiencies that are being distributed, and then the depth that is being challenged as far as the changes in the organ and gland control, now we have a clear picture as to what the entire impact of the of the vertebral subluxation is, and we can use the insight to do that. The chiropractic paradigm understands what we refer to as the triune of life. That means that there is intelligence, force, and matter. And what we understand more than anything is that matter is always affected if there isn't clear communication and the forces that drive us become either constructive or destructive forces. So the insight is constantly evaluating the application of how the neurology within our spine, ultimately our brain, are being utilized and where we are managing positive patterns or where we are losing our ground to those primal forces.